Kunja Vihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Gopijana Radha Giridharidhari.
Jaya Gopijana Radha Giridharidhari.
Jai Gopijana Radha Giridharidhari. Jai Gopijana Radha Giridharidhari. Yashodanandana Yashodanandana should go to the dialogue which is happening. Reading from Srila Abhirama Thakur, chapter entitled Chant Hare Krishna in Quiet. Each month, one of Srila Prabhupada's GBC men stayed with him to serve as secretary and to receive direct training in personal association. Secretary for January 1977 was Rameshwar Swami. Prabhupada was genuinely pleased and enlivened when early in the morning Rameshwar entered his room, having flown straight from Los Angeles to Bombay. Prabhupada considered Rameshwar an expert ISKCON manager, especially in printing and distributing Krishna conscious literature, which was Prabhupada's priority in preaching. Rameshwar Swami inquired as a humble servant for his spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada said, "You look well, are you feeling well?" Srila Prabhupada laughed. "At the present moment I am feeling well because you are here." Within moments they were discussing ISKCON preaching and management, and Prabhupada advised Rameshwar that the best policy was to use money for printing more books. As soon as money accumulated, Prabhupada warned it would be taxed and would cause headaches. Better to immediately spend it for printing books. Print books and sell and spend, said Srila Prabhupada. Follow this policy and distribute these books. That is our main preaching. Somehow or other we must take our books door to door and distribute. Then our preaching is successful. Anyone who will read will get some benefit. That is sure, because no other such literature is available throughout the whole world. It is a new revelation to the people in general. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi chapter 11, text 13. Shri Ramadas Ara Gadadhara Dasa Chaitanya Gosai Bhakta Rahitan Nrapasha.
Shri Ramadasa Gadadhara Dasa Chaitanya Gosai Bhakta Rahitan Nrapasha.
Shri Ramadas Ara Gadadhara Dasa Chaitanya Gosai Bhakta Rahitan Nrapasha.
Shri Ramadasa Gadadhara Dasa Chaitanya Gosai Bhakta Rahitan Nrapasha.
Shri Ramadasa Ara Gadadhara Dasa Chaitanya Gosai Bhakta Rahitan Nrapasha.
Shri Ramadasa Gadadhara Dasa Chaitanya Gosai Bhakta Rahitan Nrapasha.
So, I forgot to mention today is the appearance of Abhirama. Is it appearance or
Disappearance.
disappearance of Abhirama Gopal Thakur, who is a great associate of Lord Nityananda. So, just to remember his qualities and pastimes, we're going to read from the Chaitanya Charitamrita and Bhagavad song today in this verse. Shri Ramdasa,
Shri Ramadasa
of the name Shri Ramdas,
of the name Shri Ramadasa.
Ara
And
and Gadadhar Dasa,
Gadadhara Dasa
of the name Gadadhar Das,
of the name Gadadhara Das.
Chaitanya Gosaira,
Chaitanya Gosai
of Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu,
of Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Bhakta
Bhakta
devotees,
devotees.
Rahi Dandrapasha, with him. Translation. Two devotees of Lord Chaitanya named Shri Ramdas and Gadadhar Das always lived with Shri Virabhadra Goswami. Please repeat. Two devotees of Lord Chaitanya named Shri Ramdas and Gadadhar Das always lived with Shri Virabhadra Goswami. Purport by Srila Prabhupada's Devi. Shri Ramdas, later known as Abhirama Thakur, was one of the 12 Gopalas, chariot boyfriends of Shri Nityananda Prabhu. The Gaura Ganadesha Dipika, verse 126, states that Shri Ramdas was formerly Shri Dhamma. In the Bhakti Ratnakar chapter 4, there is a description of Srila Abhirama Thakur. By the order of Shri Nityananda Prabhu, Abhirama Thakur became a great acharya and preacher of the Chaitanya cult of devotional service. He was a very influential personality, and non-devotees were very much afraid of him. Empowered by Shri Nityananda Prabhu, he was always in ecstasy and was extremely kind to all fallen souls. It is said that if he offered obeisances to any stone other than a Shaligram Shila, it would immediately fracture. 10 miles southwest of the railway station, Champadanga, on the narrow gauge railway line from Howrah in Kolkata to Amta, a village in the Hugali district, is a small town named Kanakula Krishnanagar, where the temple of Abhirama Thakur is situated. During the rainy season, when this area is inundated with water, people must go there by another line, which is now called the South Eastern Railway. On this line is a station named Kolagata, from which one has to go by steamer to Ranichak. 7.5 miles north of Ranichak is Kanakula. The temple of Abhirama Thakur is situated in Krishnanagar, which is near the Kula bank of the Kana, Dwarakeshwara River. Therefore, this place is celebrated as Kanakula Krishnanagar. Outside of the temple is a bakul tree. This place is known as Siddha Bakul Kunj. It is said that when Abhirama Thakur came there, he sat down under this tree. In Kanakula Krishnanagar, there is a big fair held every year in the month of Chaitra, March, April, on Krishna's Saptami, the 7th day of the dark moon. Many hundreds and thousands of people gather for this festival. The temple of Abhirama Thakur has a very old history. The deity in the temple is known as Gopinath. There are many Sevite families living near the temple. It is said that Abhirama Thakur had a whip, and that whoever he touched with it would immediately become an elevated devotee of Krishna. Among his many disciples, Sriman Srinivasacharya was the most famous and the most dear, but it is doubtful that he was his initiated disciple. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare. So this is a very special day because Lord Chaitanya's associates are so powerful and so magnanimous that just by hearing their names we can become purified, never mind hearing their pastimes. It's described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that just by hearing the names of these wonderful associates of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, then it purifies our heart and mind. So this great devotee called Abhirama Gopal Thakur, he's actually in Krishna lore, he's actually a cowherd boy, one of the prominent Gopas of Krishna, and he's known as Sri Dhamma, so he's actually the brother of Srimati Radharani. And so he was a great devotee of Lord Nityananda, and on the order of Lord Nityananda he became a great acharya and a preacher of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and he was very influential, and actually the atheists and blasphemers were very much afraid of him. And because he was empowered by Lord Nityananda, he was always in ecstasy, and he was very kind to the fallen souls. And so I'm just going to read a few pastimes of Abhirama Gopal Thakur. So once Krishna and Balaram and the cowherd boys were playing hide and seek in Braj, and suddenly Krishna just wanted to go to Navadvip to perform pastimes there. So he took Balaram and the cowherd boys, and they advented in Navadvip as Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, and all the different associates. And somehow or other, Sridham was actually playing hide and seek, but he was in a cave, and he stayed in that cave, and they forgot all about him. So he was hiding in a cave in Govardhan. So when Lord Chaitanya was performing his pastimes in Navadvip, then one day he suddenly remembered Sridham, and he started calling out for Sridham. Where is Sridham? And he fell unconscious, and Lord Nityananda picked him up and asked him, where is Sridham? I'll go get him, for you. Because Lord Chaitanya was feeling so much ecstasy and separation from Sridham. So Lord Chaitanya told him that he's living in Vrindavan, near Govardhan Hill, so please go and get him. So Lord Nityananda went to Vrindavan near Govardhan Hill, and he was calling out, Sridham, where are you, Sridham? So then Sridham came out of the cave, and he looked at Lord Nityananda. Because Sridham is from Dwapar Yuga, everyone's a lot bigger in Dwapar Yuga. In Kali Yuga, people are shrinking in size, so Lord Nityananda looked small in size compared to Sridham. Sridham didn't recognise this Lord Balaram, so Lord Nityananda was trying to explain to him, I'm the same Balaram, and so Sridham said, I don't believe you, because Lord Balaram is, he doesn't look like you, he's a lot bigger and very strong, and powerful. And Lord Nityananda was trying to explain to him that, we all went to Navadvip for pastimes, and you were left in the cave. And so Sridham got a bit upset, why did you all leave me behind, sort of thing. So Sridham, so Lord Nityananda was trying to convince Sridham. So Sridham said, well, if only Balaram can catch me, he's only powerful enough to catch me. So if I run and you catch me, then I know that you're Balaram. So Sridham ran around Govardhan Hill 4 times, and he was looking behind him, and Lord Nityananda caught up with him. So then he accepted that, okay, you're Lord Balaram. But then he was asking, why did you all leave me behind? It's not really fair. So he was quite a bit upset and dissatisfied. So Lord Nityananda persuaded him, so he turned smaller in size and took him to Navadvip to meet Lord Chaitanya. Then, so when Sridham went to Navadvip with Lord Nityananda, he'd seen everybody had shaved heads, and they were all wearing these simple clothes, and he says, well, why are you wearing all these? Why are you shaved heads? Why are you wearing bags? I'm a cowherd boy, because he was dressed up with ornaments and dress, And Lord Chaitanya tried to explain to him that, this is actually Kali Yuga now, so, the process of spiritual life is like how to get free from material desires is renunciation. So this is the process we're showing through Nam Sankirtan. We're performing these pastimes. So Lord Chaitanya explained that I'm the same Krishna, and my name is Krishna Chaitanya, and you're Sridham, but we'll call you Abhirama Thakur. So he got given the name Abhirama by Lord Chaitanya. And then, so Sridham, he had a very fiery kind of temper, because he was a bit dissatisfied, because of what had happened, that he got left behind in the cave. So he had a kind of fiery nature, and but he was very, very powerful. And then after that, Lord Nityananda he ordered Abhiram to get married. So he got married to Malini Devi. This is different from Srinivas Thakur's Malini. So and then one day he had a dream. The deity Gopinath came in his dream, and he says, I'm buried in the ground nearby the house, so please uncover me and worship me. So then Ramdas, he was also known as Ramdas, Abhiram Gopal Thakur. So he went outside and he dug the earth, and he found the deity of Gopinath. So then that Gopinath deity was placed in his house to worship, and this is what Prabhupada is explaining here, that in the purport that he had a deity known as Gopinath. in his house, and there was a kund that was formed there, and it's called Ram Kund, and whoever bathes in that gets free from the cycle of birth and death. It's a beautiful kund, and so it's still there to be visited at present, and thousands of people go there. So then after that, Lord Chaitanya wanted to send Lord Nityananda and to Bengal with some associates. So so this is the two devotees that Lord Chaitanya sent. It's Ramdas and Gadadhar Das. This is not Gadadhar Pandit. This is a different devotee called Gadadhar Das, and both of them followed Lord Nityananda to Bengal. And it's described that they were always in ecstasy, and so Ramdas, Abhirama Gopal Thakur, he would play a flute for like 9 hours non-stop in ecstasy, so they were taking a long time to get to Bengal. And then on another day, he couldn't find a flute, so what he did was he picked a huge log up, and that log, it says in the Bhakti Ratnakara that not even 100 men could lift that log. So he lifted this log, and he put 16 holes. He made 16 holes in this big log, and then he played it like a flute. So that's how strong he was. He was so powerful.
That's why they were scared of him.
And he also had a whip. It's not really a whip, it was actually a stick, and it was called Jai Mangal. And anyone who was touched with this whip or stick actually was filled with Krishna Prema. So it would be really nice to have it. It's actually still there in that temple. I'd love to get touched with that. And he actually touched Srinivasacharya 3 times with a stick, and Srinivasacharya got Krishna Prema by that. And there's another amazing pastime, because he was so powerful that when he paid his obeisances, then if the stone wasn't a Shaligram Shila, then it would just crack into pieces. So like sometimes people worship Shaligram Shilas, but sometimes it's actually not a Shaligram Shila, it's just a stone, because they're not sure, and that would crack. And then and also, if he paid his obeisances to somebody who had material desires or wasn't a pure devotee, they would die. That's how powerful he was. So there was a pastime of Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda was married to Jagannath Priya, and so every time he would have a child, Abhirama Thakur was so, kind of jubilant. He wanted to go and see the baby, and every time he would go, the child would die. So that happened 7 times. So you can understand Vasudha and Jana were like, we don't want Abhirama Thakur to come and see this child, in case it dies again. Of course, this is part of the pastimes. I mean, Lord Nityananda is like, he's the Supreme Lord, he's so powerful. These pastimes are there, just there to show the power of Abhirama Thakur, how great he was, So the next time, Lord Nityananda didn't invite Abhirama Thakur, and he told the boatmen that if Abhirama Thakur tries to get across the Ganges, sink the boats, don't let him come across. So Abhirama Thakur found out that Lord Nityananda had another child, so he was ready to go although he wasn't invited, he wanted to go and see the child. So he went to the boatmen, and the boatmen asked, "Are you Abhirama Thakur? You look like Abhirama Thakur." And he says, "Yes." So then they all sunk their boats one after another, so that he couldn't get across. So what he did was he took his upper cloth and he just threw it on the Ganges, and he sat on that cloth and went across, floated across the Ganges. You can imagine how powerful he is to do that. And then, so he got to Lord Nityananda's house, and everyone was afraid, oh no, what if the child dies if he pays his obeisances? And Lord Nityananda, so they brought the child out because he couldn't walk. And Lord Abhirama Thakur paid his obeisances, and the child just smiled. So then they could understand that, and he said, this child is non-different from Lord Chaitanya, that he's actually, because Veerabhadra Gosai was a child, and he was actually an incarnation of Kshirodaksha Vishnu. you know, he's a super soul in everyone's heart. So that's why they could understand that Veerabhadra Gosai is not an ordinary soul, not an ordinary person. So they were very happy that he could actually continue living. And also Lord Nityananda had a daughter as well called Ganga Devi, who was actually the personification of the river Ganges, and he also paid obeisances to her, and she didn't die. So those two children lived, and so that's how he was so powerful that, you know, there was another pastime of Raghunandan, who was a child as well, and his father found out that Abhiram Thakur wanted to come and pay his obeisances to Raghunandan, his child, so he hid his child in somebody else's house and told Abhiram Thakur, my child's not here, I don't know where he is, and I don't know when he's coming back home. And so Abhiram Thakur went, and he sat underneath a tree and he just started chanting. And Raghunandan, the child, he found out that Abhiram Thakur had come, so he actually went to meet Abhiram Thakur and paid his obeisances to Abhiram Thakur, and then Abhiram Thakur paid his obeisances to Raghunandan, and they both danced in ecstasy for hours and hours and hours. And so then they could understand that Raghunandan was a pure devotee, that there was no material desires in his heart. That's why he stayed alive. And so there was many such pastimes of Abhiram Thakur, and he also preached very vigorously, and he became an acharya. And yeah, he was, Ramdas was like, in one of the verses it says he was one of the chief branches, was full of fraternal love of Godhead. He made a flute from a stick with 16 knots. So, yeah, he was full of sakyaras, he was full of this fraternal love, this friendship with Krishna. And Lord Nityananda had a lot of love for him, a lot of very deep pastime, very great pastimes with Lord Nityananda. So Lord Nityananda, we can see these great devotees, they came with the Lord, and they performed amazing pastimes, delivering the fallen souls, and also performing amazing pastimes. It showed that they were not ordinary souls, they were actually pure devotees, eternal associates of the Lord. You can't really imitate their pastimes, as we can see here. They were just amazing. And later on, Abhiram Thakur would stay in the house of Veerabhadra Gosai, the son of Lord Nityananda. So any questions or comments?
When I first started doing service, when I first joined, I was thinking, well, why doesn't Krishna just magically open to the spiritual world now, and everybody else like that? And then the devotees were telling me, well, that's not possible, because you have to first of all show Krishna, you have to pass the tests that Maya's going to, and you have to show Krishna that you're really sincere, and then but if you can just get whipped and you can easily get love of God, that would seem to kind of be contradictory to the normal way.
Well, when Lord Chaitanya came with his associates, he extended special mercy, so we can't take that as we can't take the exception as the rule. So these are exceptional cases, because Lord Chaitanya wanted to show the power, the power of his mercy, and the power of the pure devotee's mercy, and the power of the holy name. So he had so many different pastimes where amazing things happened. Devotees just got sprinkled the love of God, like with his whip, or Lord Chaitanya, they would just touch an associate of Lord Chaitanya who had Krishna Prema, they would get Krishna Prema. Things like that is not, it's not the rule, it's the exceptions, because the Lord could do anything, and it was part of his pastimes. But generally everyone has to follow the rules of sadhana bhakti and follow the process to get Krishna Prema. It doesn't just happen like that. But that was just to show the power. The Lord wants to glorify, the devotees as well. So this is how he shows the power of these great souls.
Sometimes when we're hearing about the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, also he'll just, like the boatman, once he touched Lord Chaitanya, he couldn't stop singing Hari 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 Hari. And he pulled him into the end of that. And then after that he thought a ghost had entered him because he couldn't stop saying Hari Hari. So,
there's also the pastime where he tells his Srivas Thakur's niece Narayani chant Hare Krishna and dance in ecstasy, and she started exhibiting all these ecstatic symptoms, and she was only like 5 years old. So, it's like the Lord can do anything. That's to show that the Lord is independent. He can do anything he wants. If he wants, he can give Krishna Prema to anyone and everyone. He gave Krishna Prema to Jagannath Priya, So this was to show.
That was the question I was going to ask, was when we know that Jagannath Priya were also special souls playing the roles of, how do you know which one's which? Some of them are all of them in contact with Lord Chaitanya, all special souls to be there in the first place, to get that kind of direct?
They must be. They must have earned that.
But doesn't that undermine the pastime that Lord Chaitanya is so merciful that even the most unqualified, on the one hand it seems that they are the most qualified, and then on the other hand the old idea is that they're not the most qualified, they're the most unqualified.
Well, it's just like we come to devotional service because we've performed some devotional service in our past life, or some devotional piety is there. So it's the same as them. They performed. Prabhupada says that the cowherd boys that played with Krishna, after many, many years of piety, they came to that point of playing with him. Hundreds and hundreds of lives of pious activities. So this devotional piety. So it's not like they just got that, that service of being Krishna's friend.
But because we know what we're saying that Abhirama Thakur can just go up to somebody and give them something, even though they're not qualified for it.
It's possible, because the Lord's independent, devotees are also independent. Because, like Prabhupada says, like one devotee asked him, we're not qualified, so how do we get, this? And Prabhupada said, I need qualification. So in the same way, Krishna can give that. He's independent, if he wants, he can give it to anyone. But
it's that before we go back to Godhead, we take part in the Lord's pastimes. So maybe these are souls that have already done their bit, and then just take it before they go back home. Not all of them, some of the eternal associates, of course. But could be like that.
Yeah, because we go to a planet that Krishna's performing his pastimes, or Lord Chaitanya is performing his pastimes, so we could be one of those persons in that, in Navadvip, when Lord Chaitanya is performing his pastimes, and we get that mercy.
So when it says you don't go back to Godhead straight away, you go to the planet first where Krishna's performing his pastimes. Can it also be that you go to the planet where Lord Chaitanya is performing his pastimes?
Well, we are part of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes right now. We are in that sort of so we are part of the pastimes right now. So That's Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, isn't it?
So we were in bliss, but we don't realise it. Didn't Shiva Rama say in one of his books that if you're a devotee of Krishna, you go to enjoy the pastimes of Krishna. If you're a devotee of Lord Chaitanya, then you go to two places. You go to Navadvip and simultaneously you go to Vrindavan and you perform pastimes in two different bodies.
Yeah, so you can get two forms where you can perform pastimes, Lord Chaitanya's pastimes and Lord Krishna's pastimes. So it depends on our desire.
I don't know if you've noticed in Budapest, but there's a painting of Lord Chaitanya in Kirtan, and he's got his arms like that, and all the devotees are like that, and they're standing outside a temple. It's all like white marble, looks really nice. And in the crowd, one of the devotees that's chanting is Srila Prabhupada. You see where he's been painted, Srila Prabhupada. So I just thought that was interesting because we know that all the associates of Krishna, their forms are eternal, and all the associates of Lord Chaitanya, then their forms must also be eternal. Rupa Goswami and so Srila Prabhupada also could have this eternal form.
Because they have their sadhana form, which is like, Rupa Goswami, Jagannath Goswami, associates, and then you have the Manjari form, Krishna's pastimes, as Rupa Manjari, Bhakti Manjari. So, yes, it's amazing how they both, inconceivably, they can be both places at one time.
I also heard that the cowherd boys were also really powerful. It wasn't just that Krishna was powerful when he was performing his pastimes. The cowherd boys as well. That's why sometimes they were able to beat Krishna in fighting, because they were actually really powerful themselves. Yeah. So you can see why Abhirama Thakur was using a massive donkey with 100 people couldn't carry. You can see why they'd be quite intimidated by it. If you could do that,
especially if it has a fiery temper. So I think in one pastime Sridhar carries Balaram as well on his shoulders, because some of the cowherd boys do this carrying on their shoulders like Krishna and Balaram. So they're so powerful they can carry the Supreme Lord on their shoulders. So they're jivas. And the Lord also gives them so much power because he wants to glorify them. So you can see in his pastimes of Abhirama Thakur that he had so much power, they could lift a log, 100 men couldn't lift, and then he just floats on the river Ganges on a piece of cloth, and then his whatever, if he pays licenses, stones just crack on the shoulders.
When all the associates of Krishna came down to help in his pastimes, and then they had to go back for Abhirama. So it doesn't seem like it's so well planned. It seems it's quite just on the spur of the moment. They just simply decided because it wasn't like they had this to go to first, was it? They planned to do it. They're just in the middle of a game, and then off they went.
Yeah, because when the Lord's in ecstasy, then they don't plan things like that. They just kind of decide. I mean, it's inconceivable because it's the Lord's pastimes are going on internally, aren't they? It's not like they just suddenly stop. Because even now, Krishna's performing his pastimes in Vrindavan, but it's unmanifest. So, and also, when you think, well, that was in Dwapara Yuga, then how did they get to Kali Yuga from Dwapara Yuga? But it's times, Krishna's in control of time and space, so, the Rasa dance was time, it was one night, it was the night of Lord Brahma, they say, so Krishna can change time, if he wants, he can make it into light time of night, day of Brahma, or night of Brahma, or he can change time when he wants, so it's not like everything's in his control.
So if a person comes into the association of devotees and he's very entirely competent, then he may see the devotees don't seem to be so organised or so together, and they just spontaneously do things. Like Lord Chaitanya was doing on his travels. Well, actually, all the associates, they go on pilgrimage somewhere along the way, they get lost because there was so much ecstasy.
Yeah.
And they like days before they're there, and they realize they've gone the wrong way, so they ask somebody, and say, no, it's that way. And they start walking, and then they end up going back. Like, 3 days later, they come up with ecstasy, and then they just start laughing. It doesn't turn the back, it's that way. And they just start laughing and turn around and start walking that way. So you could think, if you were like quite critical, if you were losing that was in space out, And you could look at it in a very mundane way and see
yeah, well, because of the Lord's associates, because they're experiencing ecstatic love of God, so they're not in control of their life. They're not aware. Sometimes they're not aware of the externals, so they go like Lord Nityananda was sent to Bengal with a few associates to preach, and on the way they go into ecstasy and they start dancing and chanting for hours and totally unaware of what the time is, and they're going in the wrong direction, and then they get told no, it's that way, so then they go in that direction, but then they go into ecstasy again, and then they go in another wrong direction, so they're going backwards and forwards like this, and then finally they reach their destination. But you can see that it's to show how it's not a material. This ecstatic love of God is not a material thing. It's not. Clear. We're not in control, and to show the greatness of these devotees.
Is there any indication from Shastra? Because we heard that Krishna said he wanted to come down and everyone came. Then he came back later on for Abhirama and Thakur. So there they are, were doing the pastimes. And then they all leave with Lord Chaitanya again. So then is there any indication that other associates were told you come down later on, after we've come back? So the movement, the Chaitanya tree is in good hands. And it spreads.
Yeah, because in this chapter, it's a Chaitanya tree, and there's so many branches of the Chaitanya tree, and so many associates of Lord Chaitanya came after Lord Chaitanya, like Narottam Thakur, and all these great acharyas like Shyamananda Prabhu and his Rasikananda, his disciple Rasikananda, readings like Rasikananda Prabhu, and there were such great associates that were like so powerful. And performed amazing pastimes. So it's like, it's not that the associates just stop coming. The Lord sends the associates when there's a need to revive Krishna consciousness in the world, just like, for hundreds of years. After Lord Chaitanya, the different associates came, like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Baladev Krishna. So many acharyas came after to continue the mission, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, and Prabhupada Prabhupada is to continue the mission of Lord Chaitanya, because otherwise things get lost. Just like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I gave all this knowledge to the sun god, and then, but in due course of time, the chain got broken, and the sands as it appears to be lost. So then he says, I'm giving you this knowledge to revive it again. So Krishna continuously gives us different associates to revive Krishna consciousness in the world when it's lost, or the parampara gets broken, or there's some loss. All the holy places got covered over hundreds of years, and then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, excavated rediscovered Lord Chaitanya's birthplace. And the same way he gave the same service to Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami to excavate the holy places, because they were all, they had got buried over, got covered over through hundreds of years. So then they excavated all those holy places. So when we go to India, we go to Vrindavan, we see all those like kuns and temples, because they've got, you know, all these different deities that were installed by virtue of 5,000 years ago, got rediscovered, and then, you know, brought back.
Srila Prabhupada said that Jagannath Maharaj was an eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya. I think he's got 55,000 disciples right now. So it would be logical to assume that the associates of Lord Chaitanya must stop coming down, even relative to the Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So then in the future also, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada and the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, there were some eternal associates and special souls that were coming along as well in the future.
Yeah, because we've got 10,000 years since the Golden Age. So, you know, Krishna consciousness, to spread Krishna consciousness in the different, you know, times in Kali Yuga, different acharyas will come, different, you know, devotees will be sent to revive Krishna consciousness for that particular time and place, because as Kali Yuga goes on, people will become more and more degraded, and so there will be a need for different types of associates to come and revive them for that particular time and place. Like Srila Prabhupada, you know, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was, you know, was so really strict, and everyone was chanting like 64 rounds and so forth. And Srila Prabhupada's, you know, 16, because he couldn't get Western devotees to chant that many rounds, so it came down to 16. But because Srila Prabhupada is the founder of Acharya, that's actually the standard. There can't be any lower than that. It maintains, the standard gets maintained as that for the next 10,000 years, you know.
Well, wasn't it Lord Chaitanya, he established the standard that he wouldn't leave anyone's house unless they chanted the lap of names, which was 64 rounds. And so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur carried that standard on. I think that had been brought to standard. And then Srila Prabhupada, he said, okay, we'll drop it down to 16, but that's only the beginning. So it's like, okay, this is a concession, but everyone is chanting the 16 rounds. Should be thinking, really, it should be 64 and then being let off. But I think then Srila Prabhupada was, it could be said that he realised that if you chanted 16 rounds and there were 16 good rounds, you know, later on you become more advanced, then you wouldn't want to put your beat back down.
Yeah, maybe in the beginning when people are very passionate, they can't do devotees are passionate, they can't sit down and focus on like 64 rounds. But their energy can be used in preaching. So when devotees are young, that energy can be used in preaching and, you know, giving Krishna consciousness to others. And then as devotees mature and grow older and mature in Krishna consciousness, they can actually sit down and chant 64 rounds.
And also in the beginning it's Vaidhi Bhakti, isn't it? And then we're going to become a Radhatmika eventually, which is where it becomes spontaneous. And spontaneous is you're not doing it because you have to do it, you're doing it because you want to do it.
Yeah, so it's really how the devotees mature in the Krishna consciousness and get a taste for chanting the holy names. That will help them to chant more rounds later on as they grow older. And they're also physically able to do so much service physically, and they've got more time in their hands to chant as well. Whereas when we're a young devotee, we need to use that energy in physical work and preaching and so many things. So time will tell. See how we mature in our Krishna consciousness.
And sometimes I would just say, well, I don't know, I've chanted good rounds. You know when you chant a good round because you'll be able to take the beat back off. And one devotee was chanting, and he left his body when he was chanting, and he couldn't get the beads out of his hand. He had to do the ceremony with holding the beads because he was holding them so tightly, and he left his body.
Yeah, so we need to develop this taste for chanting holy names, and you know, if we're chanting offenselessly, then that taste will come from that. you're chanting in the fences, then you're not going to get proper taste for chanting.
Yeah, sometimes when you're chanting, you can get caught up thinking about how it's to please you, and you think, oh, I'm not getting a taste today, and you're trying to squeeze some kind of ecstasy out of chanting, and there's a shift when the chanting actually starts to give Krishna pleasure, and then as it becomes pleasing to Krishna, then automatically you start to experience satisfaction from chanting. So you can save yourself a lot of time chanting if immediately you can start on the very first round thinking I'm doing this to please you, then you don't have to be preoccupied with whether you're experiencing any bliss or not. You're just thinking I'm just doing this to please you.
Yeah.
Very quickly it becomes blissful.
The reading is such a reading, Maharaj just probably and yesterday I was reading that he was given different ways to chant better, and he says, you know, the spiritual master and like Srila Prabhupada, they've got pure devotion in their hearts, so we need to touch that pure devotion. So before we chant, we should pray to Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master, and offer him a nice seat, offer him a nice, in meditation, offer him a nice drink, and pray to him, ask him for permission to be able to chant the holy names and to, you know, imbibe that mood that they have for chanting. And in that way it will rub off on us their mood of chanting. So it's a very important way, because we can't get this mood or this bhav to chant properly without the association of devotees, especially pure devotees. You know, we need to be our mercy, so we need to connect with like the pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master, Rupa Goswami, and Haridas Thakur, who are pure devotees and who chant purely, and praying to them, then we can actually imbibe their mood. So it's very powerful. It's a very powerful way of chanting.
Wasn't there one Babaji, the doctor was listening to his heart, and he had some illness. When he was listening, he could hear the Hare Krishna mantra.
That was a Krishna Das Babaji Maharaj. Prabhupada's godbrothers. We chanted all the time. We don't have any rounds, we chanted every day. But it was interesting, I heard a story that when he first came, I think Das Babaji Maharaj, and Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur let him chant, but all the other devotees were doing a lot of service, and they were complaining to Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, he's just chanting and he's not doing any service, and we're doing all the service, you know. And so Bhaktivedanta Saraswati told them to put an advertisement in the newspaper that, or magazine, that anyone can come to the temple and we'll give them free accommodation, free food. All they need to do is chant 192 rounds a day or something like this. And he says they had that advert for 3 months and not one person turned up. And then Bhaktivedanta Saraswati told the devotees, you see, that even if you give people the opportunity to do that, then they're not able to, they're no taste for chanting. He says, somebody who has a taste for chanting, let them chant, you know. So nobody else had that taste for chanting.
Yeah, 192 is 3 lots of 64, and 64 takes 8 hours. So to chant 192, you have to chant them, like, you have to do 500 rounds if you're going to live. You know, otherwise you'd starve to death on the first day. You know? So you have to chant. And these devotees that were chanting 192 rounds, like Haridas Thakur, he also had time to preach as well. So they're obviously chanting quite fast, you know.
Yeah, well, Haridas Thakur was chanting 192 rounds a day, and they were saying that 64 rounds were in the mind, 64 were soft, and 64 were loud chanting, something like that, in those 3 days.
And also Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said they were building names, and it took him 10 years chanting 192 rounds a day.
Yeah, so those are the devotees who've got a lot of taste for chanting, so they can actually sit and chant so many rounds. And so for devotees that are not don't have so much taste, then they need to use that energy in serving and preaching, otherwise, you know, they're not going to get the benefits. Thank you. Okay. Then Sunday, Abhirama Thakur.
Jai.
Shall Prabhupada.
Jai.